Hello, today I'm going to show you how to create a report in Access 2010. First of all, I'd like to show you the data set I'm using. So here's my data. It's a query. It's a query within my school database, and the query shows the pupils, the after-school activities they've booked, and the cost of those activities. So for example, Bob Banana here has booked football and rugby, each at £20 each. Sarah Strawberry has booked 4 things at various costs. But what I'd like to use a report for is to clearly show the pupil the activities they're doing, and also to clearly show the cost for each pupil as well as a grand total. So let's start by first of all creating a report really quickly and simply, and I can do that by going to Create, and if I choose this button here, this report button, it creates a basic standard report for me. So create report. And there's our report. So the same data, just shown much more presentably, if you like. It will show us how it's going to be printed out. Typically reports will be printed, and it shows here that the page breaks here. So one small adjustment I'm going to make is to resize the columns. I can do that just by going to the top here, and I can double click on the border or the edge, or I can drag. So if I double click, so the column resizes. And by the way, I'm doing all of this in the layout view. So let's resize this column. It's overdone it there, so I'm just going to drag that a little wider so we can see all of those names. Double click the activity. Again, let's just adjust that by dragging. Double click the cost and adjust by dragging. And you'll see down the bottom here we have the grand total, which the standard report producing wizard there has already done. We've got the grand total of 155, but it's a bit squashed, so I'm just going to resize the height of that by double clicking. So there's our finished report so far. Let me just write in grand total here. So add a label. There's our grand total label. So very quickly we've turned that query, that data set, into a report, far more presentable. But what I'd like to do now is clearly use this report to show each person and also the individual activities that that person is doing, but also to give each person a total cost. So if we very quickly look here, Bob Banana, he's doing football and he's doing rugby, each at £20, so I'd expect to be able to produce a subtotal for him of £40. But it'd be nice if I could group all his data together and give him a subtotal of £40. So how do I start doing that? Well, if I look at my ribbon here and my report specific options, if I choose design and turn on the group sort button there, I can now group all my pupils together. So if I come down here and choose group, I can group them by their pupil ID. If I take a look at what's happened here, you'll see that pupil 1 there and all the records for pupil 1 have been grouped underneath. Pupil 2, pupil 3, Sarah Strawberry, all her records have been grouped underneath the heading of pupil 3. And just to make that a little tidier, I can drag their first names and include those as part of the group heading, and let's click and drag the last name in as well. So now I have a heading for the group, pupil first name and last name, pupil first name and last name, and underneath that heading I have detail of the activities they're doing and the costs. So what else do I need now to make this useful? I might want to decide after each grouping, in the footer of each group, I might like to have £40 here, for example, and for Sarah Strawberry I might like to have, what's that, £70 here. So I'd like to put in a subtotal for each grouping. So if I look at my group, it's been grouped by pupil ID. If I look at more for more options, I'll see that the cost has already been totaled, and we know that because down the bottom there's our cost totaled, the grand total. But if I choose that again and go to cost totaled, total on cost once more, sum it up, but instead of having the show grand total, which I still want, I can also have show subtotal in the footer of each group. So if I show the subtotal, we now see for Bob Banana we have a subtotal figure of £40 for him, and similarly for Sarah Strawberry a bit further down we should have a bigger number, £70. I might just double click that to resize that to make it better, and I can put in total here as a label. So there we have it. We have our data set which was turned into a report, much more presentable this way. We can clearly see the person, the activities they're doing, and the subtotal for each. So in summary, what did we do? Well, we resized our columns by clicking, double clicking or dragging. We added a group so that our data was grouped by the pupil ID, and we went to design and group and sort for that. Add a group, and then within that group we total up our costs, and we total on cost, and we decide to show a grand total for all the records and also subtotals for each group, so in our case subtotals for each pupil.